Okay, this is the USA. This is Florida. This goes down Mexico, down into South America. Now, what are we looking at here? I claim this is the feathered serpent. And this is his head. Right here. Just to see the difference in colors, look for the abrupt transitions. And then if you look down close, it's just amazing. There's some kind of fluty looking look at these little river patterns that run right around his nose, where the color changes from this brownish looking color to that very greenish looking color. You see that? And it's right at this abrupt transition of this squirrely looking river system. You see it? That's not natural. I mean, it is natural, but it's not. It's because this thing was a dragon. And now it was a feathered serpent, and all this plumage. If you see, they had plumes coming off. Well, I guess it was just one, Quetzalcoatl, and this whole thing was plumage coming up. And you can verify that just by looking at it carefully. You can see it. But the easiest place to see his plumage is follow him all the way up into the Green Mountains. You see that? That's the plumage. Those are feather patterns. Those aren't just hills and valleys. All right, and if you look up feather meal, they grind it up and use it for fertilizer because it creates excellent green products. Everything grows very, very green. And the reason is it has a lot of nitrogen in it. And nitrogen works with chlorophyll. Chlorophyll works with light. Light you need to absorb to make things grow. And that's where it is where the feathers were. Now, this is something, it's about time to take serious, because this is, if you want to learn history and you want to just learn fairy tales, that's what you're being taught now. Same thing with geology, it's all fairy tales. This is a real geology. Here's Quetzalcoatl's head. There's the feathers running straight up, see that? There's the same feathers, see that? All right, and that's what he looks like. He's exactly that. He is exactly that, with all these plumage coming out of his head, and identical feathers all over him. All I can say is this was recorded about Quetzalcoatl. All of the indigenous people had this story of meeting people and being kind of well, I don't know. You have to look it up and do some deep research on this. I'm just starting to get back into it because everything's been considered just really ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. What I'm showing you, you have every right to laugh at, but you have to examine it, then laugh. You can laugh now, but you have to examine it. Then if you continue to laugh, good for you. I say GFY. Good for you. Not only do I have his feathers coming off the top of his head, just like it shows in the glyphs, we have found his beard, too. There's the beard coming off of Quetzalcoatl's jaw. They all seem to have had beards, and they all seem to be the source of, well, I don't know all, but the one in the desert, it's the source of toxins. But there's his beard. Let me show you what they depicted him as. It's identical, literally identical. I mean, you can't get any closer. Look, so he's got all the feathers coming out of his head. He's got his beard coming out. We got the same thing. And he's eating a guy. I don't know about that. I don't see him eating anybody, but, And how big would the guy have to be for him to eat him and be that big, swallow him down? This is just crazy stuff. I'm sorry. It is what it is. I am just a messenger. I didn't make it up. I'm just reporting what I see. If you don't see it, like I said, GFY, good for you. Here, check this out. I believe this is a feather, as it's a mountainscape, but I believe this is the patterns of a feather, and I have one here as well, a very large one as well, and that's exactly the same patterns you see right there. That's the side of a feather. That's the side of a feather, and my feather is right there. I'm not talking about any puppy feather. That sucker there, that's the feather, the thickness of the feather. and it looks like a turkey feather to me. This is the thickness of it. This is the other side, same color, just like two sides of a feather. There's one side, and there's the other side. These creatures were very, very large. Okay, I was just looking for dragons returning, and the Return to Westeros, House of the Dragon. And this is Returning the House of the Dragon on HBO. Listen to this. They don't know how close they are to reality. Nobody really paid attention to these things until now because they were real.
And it was a cultural phenomenon, but this is something else. It's a different story. The scale of the story is told in a different way.
All that size that we loved in Game of Thrones is here, but House of the Dragon is rooted in the domestic and the familial.
I hope fans will get everything that they got out of Game of Thrones and more. More dragons.
More dragons? I'll give you some more dragons. Alright, this, literally, I'm not kidding you, is the thickness of the feather. That is the same color as that. I think it was a turkey. And there's the bottom, is the same color. That's the thickness of this feather. That's a thick feather. And all that is this little spot right here. We're not talking about big pieces. This is the tiniest little piece. It's this little fuzz right here, up to here. And I'll show you where it came from on Earth. Okay, don't forget now. I showed you those little tiny ribs, and they have these little flutes coming off the side. That's what this is right here. It came right off of this piece right here. This is the little rib that runs down, and then they have that little fluty thing that attaches to the next rib so that all the feathers stay together. And here it is right here. Don't forget, there's the rib and there's the fluty stuff. All right, there's the rib and there's the fluty stuff. Only this one's a little thicker than that one. This is one side is brown, just like that one, and there's the other side is brown, just like that one. This is the size of the feathers, and here it was when it was complete. That's a road. These things are big.